presidential candidates. You never can tell. At the moment, we have over 60 political parties registered by INEC, and before that election comes, we might have close to 120 political parties for that election. And there's a good chance, too, that quite a number of these political parties, probably 50% of them, would be fielding candidates now for the presidential election. We do not know. We just have to wait and see how everything plays out. But one man who has declared his intention to run lately is Ali Shoyode, who is the founder of Ben TV, and he's a presidential aspirant. He now joins me right here in the studio. Mr. Shoyode, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
First is, you do not have a political party. You've declared your intention to run. I saw it. We saw it in Abuja. But you do not have a political party.
That's totally true. Well, thank you once again, Deji, for having me. I didn't belong to any political party, but initially and up to this minute, I started a movement called Yes Nigeria Movement.
Absolutely.
Which has been trending for almost a year. And what have we been doing? We've been educating the electorate on their democratic right and sharing with them that they need to decide. And at the end of the day, they pick the leaders, elect the leaders that are in position in the country.
Your Yes Movement is not a political party. You cannot run on the platform of Yes Movement. You have to run on the platform of a political party. And you do not belong to any political party at the moment. You declared your intention. People would say if you were serious, you probably would declare under a political platform, a political party, so to speak.
Well, which is totally true. Everybody has his own views and opinion. We have our own strategy. We have our own method of joining this race, and we're going according to our plan. The Yes Movement, without any doubt, is in the process. In fact, it's in the last leg of being registered as a political party. And the reason why is...
Yes Movement has applied.
That's correct. As you know, our method of educating and sharing with the electorate is totally positive about the opportunities that we have in the country, rather than about the challenges or criticizing the government or criticizing our leaders.
But to be candid, what's wrong if you joined one of the existing political parties? Do you need to register Yes Movement as a political party? Because the process of registration takes time. Why not join one of the existing political parties and then you run under their platform?
Well, correct again on what you're saying. There's no doubt that we have been speaking to a lot of political parties for the last probably 5 months. Trying to find the right platform for us to declare, or the right platform, the right party for us to join. So we have that already in the process. And I'm a founder member of some of the movement in Nigeria, including the NIM from day one. So likewise, if you're following the story, you know that they're trying to find a political party to adopt or to work with. So for us, really, we're going according to the plan. We're going according to the schedule. We're going according to our own strategy on how we're going to influence the democracy, how we're going to strengthen the political calculation in the country, more than about me having a platform. There is no doubt, as you rightly mentioned, there's almost 60 political parties. So somehow, somewhere, somebody will find one party that we can work with. And the truth of the matter is I already have parties that have offer based on what they have seen, the quality they've seen in me, the capacity they've seen in me.
The political parties that have come to you to say, come join us.
Absolutely.
Now, why have you decided to run?
Why do I decide to run? Looking at the bigger picture, we criticize our leaders. We criticize the governance in the country. The question is, if you're not standing and your name is not listed on the ballot paper, you cannot be elected. No matter what the Nigerian people say, no matter what the electorate are saying, either the bad governors, that we don't have leaders, at the end of the day, this quality people or this unquality people that you have in front of you are the people that decided that they want to rule or they want to be in a position in the country. So no matter what we do, we have to give them credit for saying they want to stand and for being there. So the next point now is, why do I want to stand, or why am I standing? It's looking at the bigger picture. All the elders, either the women, the men, has been saying, you guys, we in the corporate world, the younger generation, we should do something and join the politics of the country. And that's the reason why, number one, and I believe I have the capacity, and the Constitution allowed me to.
I mean, there's a chance, if you eventually make it to the polls, there's a chance you'll be running against President Muhammadu Buhari. He's declared his intention to run, and there's also a chance that he would pick the ticket of his party, the APC. What do you fancy will be your chances, for instance, against a candidate like President Muhammadu Buhari?
The fact of the matter is, he got elected on his 4th attempt. That's number one. The journey of 1,000 miles starts when you begin. So I've started my journey.
So it's not as if you're,
right?
you're hell-bent on, winning in 2019. You just want to make a statement in 2019.
No. There is no doubt on a free and fair election. I absolutely believe with my team that we have the capacity, we have the opportunities that we can definitely, without any doubt, be in office come 2019. Why do we say so? If the Nigerian people are absolutely truthful that they're yearning for change, if they're truthful that they're looking for experience, younger generation, people who are innovative, creative, technology-minded, then there is no doubt that we qualify. If you're talking about people who have been mentoring, working with the youth anywhere, then we qualify. If you're talking about people who need to change the system from the way it is, we qualify. If you're talking about Nigeria need to be united, I qualify as a bridge between the North and the South. I qualify as a Nigerian who had lived in the country and at the same time went abroad to a foreign land, set up the first black TV station without experience, no money, then I qualify. If you're talking about somebody who's not corrupt, that needs to lead, I qualify. So whatever angle you want to play it, I absolutely believe without any doubt.
If you're talking about somebody who's not controversial as well,
I qualify.
But what exactly do you want to change in Nigeria?
There's a lot of things that I can see. There's a lot of things that I know, that God has given us the natural resources in this country. We have the people, we have the natural resources. I want to unleash those talents, those opportunities that God has given us to begin to change the system in the country. When you're talking about leadership, it's about being servant leader, which is what I have been doing for the last 20 years. If you remember how the Ben television started, it's because the Nigerian name was negatively criticized around the world. When a black person commits any crime outside the country, they say he's a Nigerian. But I don't think so. But you have to change the story, and that's what gave me the impetus, the courage, the boldness to say, well, let's begin to show that there are positive, hard-working Nigerians in Europe, in United Kingdom. That gave birth to Ben television. So I've done it somewhere, coming from a rural village, maybe in Katsina, traversing the sea into Europe, and then setting up the first black TV station. Means that I can see something. I can smell opportunities. And Nigerian, the youth, the older generation, those with opportunities, those with innovative ideas.
Some people will tell you that what you're saying now is quite different from running a country like Nigeria.
What makes it difficult? I'm Nigerian. If any Nigerian can run Nigeria, then being a Nigerian, I qualify to run Nigeria too. Is it a foreign person that's coming to run Nigeria for us? The answer, I believe, is absolutely no. If it is a Nigerian that is going to be in office and run this country, then I qualify as a Nigerian who lives in the country, lives abroad. So I transverse between the two Western world and Africa as a country.
Don't you think, for instance, because let's face it, experience is a key thing. You have never been known to hold any public office, so to speak. You've never run for elections in this country, so you've never held any public office. All your life, you've been a private sector person. You don't think that if you're going into politics like you're doing now, that you should start from, probably somewhere along the middle and not aim for the very top. Say, for instance, what's wrong, for instance, if you run for probably the National Assembly, say the House of Reps or the Senate, and then start from there.
They don't change.
And move up that
way. They
way.
don't change the system. One of the major problems in the country now is we said the National Assembly, so they don't change the system. The system is changed from the top in Nigeria, either at the national level, at the state level, at the local level. I have participated from the ward level, picking, nominating, working with a potential candidate who end up becoming, who end up getting elected. I have worked at the local government level. I have worked at the state level, anointing, picking, selecting a potential candidate who end up becoming a governor.
You have done that?
I have. I have been on the campaign trail. Even the present government, in their nomination, I knew I flew from the north with somebody, a governor, to Lagos here, Surulere, being there overnight. I participated, either through my job or through my association. So there is nothing new that I don't know that exists in the setup of a political party or running a political party. At the end of the day, you want whatever it is to impart on the life of the people, either as a politician or as a private sector person.
No, but what I'm saying is you don't think you can impact in the lives of the people more if you run for...
I have been doing that already. I have been impacting the life of people with my own little resources for the last 20 years. If I wait on that question, then I won't have set up black television station in Europe.
So you think you've got the experience to run
absolutely
a country as complex as Nigeria?
It's not about experience. In that case, If it is about experience, then there is only one person technically that can say qualify because he's at present the president of Nigeria. Then all the other candidates are not qualified because then nobody has the experience of being a governor until when you become a governor. Nobody has the experience of being a president until you become a president. So there is a massive difference. But running a successful project, making it work, and affecting the life of people positively, that's what I've been doing. And it has nothing to do with me. It's not about flashiness. It's just the culture.
Why should Nigerians take you very seriously about this ambition?
I want to believe that Nigeria definitely will know sincere people. I want to believe Nigerians are, if we're all honest about it, that we need sincere change. They can see a person who is honest, patriotic about it, and he means well for the country, then I qualify, and I want Nigerians to hold that responsible. For me, I don't normally talk about the manifesto because I believe without any doubt that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is above and supreme above any other party.
I mean, there's no way you can run for office anyway without a manifesto. You should have a manifesto. As a matter of fact, now that you're planning to run, by now we expect that, you know, you have something like a manifesto. There are certain things, of course, you want to change. What would these things be?
When we talk about manifesto, I still go back to that I adopt first and foremost the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's my #1 manifesto. Because if I tell you I'm going to build roads, so you're holding the piece of paper that I actually wrote to be supreme above the Constitution that has already guaranteed
what you're saying is not concrete. I mean, people...
That's what I'm saying.
You're speaking in abstract terms, so to speak. People,
right.
Because whether you like it or not, when you go out there to campaign and talk to people to convince them to vote for you, you must be telling them, look, I want you to vote for me because I'm going to do this, 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 and that for you. So you just can't run away from that. You just can't tell them that...
First and foremost, I want people first and foremost to bear in mind that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is supreme and above my manifesto. Then the second point is, now said, I'm presenting with the yes factor, right? Yes. In a joyful way. Yes. What does yes stand for? From my own manifesto. Yes stands for empowering the youth and the younger generation. We're talking about the economy, which is another E. For how we're going to rewrap the economy, bring in the expert, and work on the policy that will strengthen the private sector. Then we're talking about education, which is already challenged with more than 10 million people out of school. Though, as I said, the Constitution already guarantees everybody must at least go to school, free education. That's another E. Then we're talking about energy, power. The sector needs to be totally overhauled. We're producing almost 6,000. Now, double that. Based on our GDP, 460 right now. If you double the energy level, increase, your GDP will increase. There is sincerity of purpose that people tend not to have. That is not what I'm liking.
All right.
We have another E.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk more about your program. Well, you don't want to call that manifesto, but we're going to talk more about that after the break. Let's just take a short break, and we'll be right back. On tv360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country? I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly. God forbid that I go to join that
tv360, providing clarity to issues. All right, welcome back. And if you've just joined us, you're watching a special edition of DG360. And with me is a presidential aspirant, a man who plans to run for the 2019 presidential elections in Nigeria, Ali Shoyode. Now, as we were saying, your program, let's talk about the issue of employment, because you talked about that. Unemployment is a big problem in Nigeria, no doubt about it. Current unemployment level somewhere around 18 point something percent. What in your own view, could be done to reverse this unemployment rate in the country?
Well, thanks. I think we need to really look at the skill and underskilled labor market. We have a lot of construction. We have a lot of industries that absolutely need labor force. We don't need to fully concentrate on the academic qualification of people. More so, bear in mind that we know the position and we know the situation in the country. So really, we need to go into the skilled labor. We need to go into the labor market where people who are trained, maybe tailoring, mechanic, engineers, plumbers, all these things, we need them in high proportion in the country. We need to examine that. We need to provide that. We need to take that policy to another level. The fact of the matter, for example, now we're talking about a housing market. We have a massive deficit in the housing market. Yet you keep reading that people who are working within that industry have to come from outside the country. When yet we have a lot of millions of people who are unemployed, yet they have the capacity, if given the opportunity, for them to be employed. We need to go into that field without any doubt. And how do we do that? We have international organizations and home organizations that can tap into that resources. Many international organizations actually work on the policy of a government and seeing how the government is actually nurturing and working with the youth or even with the elders. That we need to tap into. And so I'm privileged that as a former chairman of Nigerian diaspora, not that we don't have the capacity at home, but if we're lacking at home as well, we have the experience and the expert people who are Nigerians willing to come home and work and build this country. We're going to examine it. And of course, when you now talk about the academic qualification of people, when the educational system is already faulty, then it is very hard for you to find the best student, the graduates, who have the capacity to do
and
what
in terms of education, how are you going to get out-of-school children now back in school?
First, there is a lot of things that you need to do with even parents of these children who are out of school. The level of poverty in the country is high. Let's be realistic. This is not going to be a miracle. You said it didn't happen. But the purpose and the sincerity of the leaders, the purpose and the sincerity of the modernization you want to bring into that educational system is what people will see now to begin to believe that indeed you want to change. And we have no doubt we have to change our educational system in this country. Because for us to compete favorably with the international communities, with other countries in the world, our educational system is the template, is the beginning, is where everything starts. We have to go back to that and nurture and build and galvanize and show them that when people talk about Almajiri, in the normal sense in Nigeria, Almajiri is classified like a beggar. But they're not beggars. When people talk about Almajiri, you think that they're completely illiterate. I want to disagree with that. Because what happened in the Almajiri system is that they can read Arabic, and they write in Arabic. I can't write in Arabic as such. I don't think, maybe you can. But in that case, they are not illiterate. Because if you go to Saudi Arabia and you can't speak Arabic, does that make me illiterate? No, I hope not. So yes, they can do something, but of course they have been marginalized. And right now, that's another one of your topic, talk about some of them are even moving into the drug issue. Why? Because they haven't got anything to do. If you engage them, you're occupying their mind and you're strengthening them for the future of the country.
Let me ask you one very, very important question here. One of the big problems confronting Nigeria today is whether we like it or not, it's something most people just don't want to admit. The population is exploding. You have a massive population and you do not have enough resources to take care of this population. It's a huge challenge, and you look at the future. You look at the rate, the rate of growth now of the population. Population, we understand, growing at over, well, some people would say close to 10% or so, and then the economy is not growing at that pace. How do you think that can be fixed?
We do have the resources. We have the human capacity. We have the natural resources. We have land. Our population is not as big as India, China, and many other advanced countries that have left us behind.
Well, they have the resources, but you haven't got. I mean, because the bulk of your resources is oil, and how much do you earn from oil anyway?
That's the reason why we have to diversify. So what government is doing, diversifying the economy, we commend them for it. But the difference is we would take it to another level because we have more knowledge, we have more creative ideas, and we believe we have the people that believe on the sincerity of the leaders to join and do that. Now, when we're talking about the resources in the country, yes, the population will keep increasing. Now, of course, in our culture, to some, there is no limit to how many children you can have. Some cities where
you don't think that's a problem?
it is a problem.
And
But
you don't think something needs to be done
people
about
do
it?
that because of security. Now, if you assure them good security in the welfare system of the country, then most likely they will agree with you that I don't need to have 10 children. But they are not saying that. That's the reason why. But again, in the other side of the country, in people who believe that they are much more advanced in the system, none of them are having 10 children. Even in the northern part of the country, where people feel, no, they are more educated, more exposed. They don't have 10 children. The newer version of those who are engaged in the national development of the country, they don't have 10 children. It's those who are in the rural places who are suffering.
That's where the problem is.
Exactly, but they're suffering. And they're in the poverty level. And they're saying that government doesn't seem to care about us. Now, say for all this crisis that are happening in some northern part of the country, if somebody only have 2 children and they go, they disappear, you see, then he definitely wants to have more children because you are not assured. The rule of law in the country is broken. You're not protected. So people are trying to create things for their own safety.
But let's talk, do you have the resources to run for the presidency?
When I started
it's a lot of money.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. The truth of the matter is, I, as a person with my team, we looked through all the aspirants, we looked through the system of our country, and we believe that we have something to offer. We have offered ourselves. Then the resources,
exactly.
The resources is we now believe in the dangers of this world, who definitely believe that Nigeria needs to move from where she is to another level, should come and partake in this project. The fact is, as I said, we in our own team, including myself, we have volunteered that we want to participate in strengthening this country. We want to take this country from where it is to another
basically
level.
you'll be asking Nigerians to contribute and bring
Without
money,
any doubt.
support you.
Without any doubt.
And you think you'll be able to raise enough resources to...
In my heart, I know that I have the capacity.
Yeah, you know, but part of the problem I have is that you're declaring just some months to the presidential election, and have you got that time, you know, to garner these resources that you would need to run?
Before our declaration, a lot of people we duly respect in this country, and other people we have respect for as well, have been wondering, well, where are the new candidates that really can show that Nigeria has what it takes? And we continue watching, monitoring, and every time that we talk about it, fingers will point at me as well, that you're one of the people that have been talking for almost a decade that Nigeria needs to galvanize, Nigeria needs to be strengthened, Nigeria needs to move from where she is to be a real player, not just on the African continent, not just being the giant of Africa, but around the world. And so as we talk about today, we're talking about technology-driven system, economy, and development. That we know. There is no doubt, with due respect to many of the candidates, I don't think when we're talking about technology, innovation, and creativity, which is one of my strong background, working with the youth, I've been doing that for more than 10 years. Sport is another industry that we can tap and generate good income for my country. We're talking about entertainment, which actually allowed Nigeria to be recapitalized to become the #1 economy on the African continent. Contributed a lot. I know that industry. That is my industry. Entertainment, Nollywood, music. I know what we can do with that. Unleash the talent of Nigerians. Now, oil and gas you're talking about is just there. Nobody does anything really just to go and dig it out, fill the tank, sell it, and get the money. But we're talking about where innovation, creativity need to rule the world as of today. When we started Ben Television, there's no Facebook, there's no Twitter. Now, if I've got a backing from somewhere, maybe I could have been the person who brought all this application out to the world. That's the difference.
I understand you, but I have to ask you this before we go. What do you make of the current leadership of the country? You think it's done so badly, and that's the reason why you're running?
No, I don't think so. Actually, I want to build on where they have gathered success. I want to build on that. Rather than the hope of Nigerians believing that things will get worse, I want to work on where their strength is.
You don't think this president deserves to be given a second chance?
That is down to the electorate. What I'm telling the electorate is, you give me a chance too.
That you are a better alternative.
I'm not saying I'm better alternative, but I'm saying is judge me based on what I am. I will build on his achievement, because what they're saying is sometimes where are those that can run with the same mantle of the success generated? I can do that, and I can open new avenues that will bring in more success to the glory of Nigerians, to the glory of God, and as we normally say in our national constitution, so help me God to make Nigeria better and greater.
And you have the support of the diaspora community behind you?
I definitely believe so. As a former chairman of Nigerians in diaspora, and somebody still working, even the national conference that the diaspora engaged in, I fought for that, for their inclusion, and we got a seat at the 2014 national conference. The difference is, yet we are not allowed to vote from the diaspora, but I'm home more than I'm in the diaspora. So all those who are in the leadership position in the country, there is no doubt because of the job we do, we have engaged with them, and I know what it takes to run a country by God's grace.
If you were presented with these two political parties, APC, PDP, you know, both of them presented their platforms to you and said, look, you have our platforms to run, which would you choose?
I would definitely do an opinion poll and ask the electorate to help me pick the right thing, because I want to have a government whereby it's inclusive.
You're not talking like a politician.
Thank you so much.
Alicia, thank you very much for coming on the program.